And joining us from Green Bay, Wisconsin, former aide to the George W. Bush White House and State Department, Elise Jordan. She's an MSNBC political analyst, and she sat down with Wisconsin voters last night to get their thoughts on the election. So first, Elise, tell us about who these voters are that you spoke with.
Hi, Mika. So last night I sat down with two groups of Wisconsin voters, the all-important voters in this state where around 20,000 votes decided the last two presidential elections. We spoke to a group of female Trump supporters, and then we spoke to a group of right-leaning swing voters to hear what they thought about the recent shakeup in the election and how they see the campaign. Now, Mika, I will say that I had been in Wisconsin about a month ago doing similar focus groups, and I was really shocked at what a burst of energy the new nomination of Vice President Harris has given the race, in the sense of how the Trump supporters responded and how the swing voters responded. So I'm excited for everyone to hear directly from the voters at this important moment.
Right. So let's listen to one of the groups you spoke with, women Trump supporters in Wisconsin. I'll say it again, women Trump supporters in Wisconsin. Here's some of what they had to say to you about Vice President Kamala Harris.
Do you think that having Vice President Kamala Harris as the nominee dramatically changes Donald Trump's odds of winning?
I'm worried about it.
Yes. I think she's going to go for the minority and female and younger voters.
Progressive. Everybody's excited about her. Right. And that scares me. Right. You know, because Trump has to reconfigure where he's going and how they're going to outsmart her.
How do you perceive Vice President Harris compared to President Biden in terms of competency and experience?
I think she's worse. She doesn't even know what's going on at the border.
Right.
And that's what she was
supposed to be doing
and in charge of. I mean, as a school teacher, if I did not do what I was supposed to be doing, you better believe my job would be in jeopardy. Well, it isn't. Not only was her job not in jeopardy, she was just handed a promotion.
Is there anyone that Kamala Harris could appoint as her vice president that you would find reassuring, would make you consider voting for her?
No. Never consider voting for her. No.
I would do RFK Jr. way before her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And she's not the first woman to run for the presidency, Hillary Clinton. I'm assuming no one voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. So it's not necessarily going to sway you to vote for a woman in office. When do you think America will have a female president?
When there's a competent one.
I don't get a good feel for her.
I think she's an idiot.
Right.
Mary, why do you think that she's not that bright?
Because she hasn't done anything in the time that she's had. We don't know anything about her as far as her 3 years so far in the White House. She's not real smart. That's my opinion. It could be wrong.
If Vice President Kamala Harris wins the election, do you think that will be an honest result?
No. No one respects her.
Hey, Elise, the very unsurprising, some fairly unsurprising responses there from the MAGA group that you talked to. I'm really interested in the other group you did, which is the kind of the swing voter group, the center right voters, and I'm interested because one of the things that the Trump campaign has done, in addition to some of the racist and sexist attacks that they've launched against her over the course of the last couple days, there has been in their advertising, their digital video, there's been this focus on the question of she was in on it, she was concealing President Biden's health and trying to make that one of the many arguments they want to make about her. I'm curious, in that group, in the center right group, not the MAGA group, what you hear from them about that issue. I'm trying to kind of get a sense of whether that is an issue that has real salience with voters and something that the Harris campaign is going to have to deal with going forward.
Well, Howman, that's a great question because that's exactly what we're about to hear in the next clip, and why we chose this clip, because it really came out so organically. The idea that these swing voters, that these right-leaning voters are grappling with considering Vice President Harris, but they feel misled by the Biden administration about Biden's fitness, and so they don't necessarily trust her, and they question if she played a role in a so-called, quote, cover-up of President Biden's health. So let's listen to the second group of voters. These are undecided voters, talk about their caveats with Donald Trump and with Kamala Harris.
If you have one concern about President Trump, tell me that concern, and then what's your one concern about Kamala Harris?
For me, my concern about Trump is him making too aggressive of choices and us not being able to recover from it. I appreciate that he is willing to, if a bomb is dropped on our doorstep, he is out the door as fast as it hit us. But that does make me nervous, because did we vet everything that's going to happen of it? My concern about Harris is a bomb is dropped on our doorstep, it's going to be 6 months before we move, and now we're viewed as weak. So again, which route do I really want to go? It's personal questions on myself. So it makes me a little nervous on both sides.
What about you, Brad?
It would just be nice if they concentrate more on the issues instead of the mudslinging and personal attacks. I mean, we got problems in this country. The left wing and the right wing are on the same bird. I mean, let's try to find that common ground where we can't agree on things. Let's start with that.
What about you, Karen?
I don't think we can ignore Trump's convictions, his integrity, his moral character. I worry about him if he gets retaliation for, something he gets him upset, and he's going to retaliate without slowing down, thinking it through. I honestly need to get more information about Camilla, because I just don't know enough about her. So I'm on a wait and see. I have to kind of step back and see. I've learned a lot just through our conversation today about her that I found really interesting.
Who do you blame for President Biden being in office in this condition? Who deserves the blame?
His close staff. They work with him every day.
So I think that's what also makes me nervous about the Vice President Harris.
Talk about that a bit.
So yes, she's going to be in it, but she also helped keep him in where he's at right now. And if he really is as bad as what they've been saying, I think if he steps down as president and she steps into the presidency before the end of his term, it almost makes me question a little bit more why it didn't happen sooner. She's worked with him. She's been, to my understanding, with him daily, or at least a couple of days a week. Why hasn't this been brought to attention? If she's willing to hide that type of information once she's in office, now what she's willing to hide for herself. And so I think that makes me a little bit uneasy, not necessarily that I wouldn't vote for her for it, but it definitely opens that questioning of why now? Why are you now being okay with exposing Biden's health concerns? Is it because it benefits you, or kind of what that line of questioning looks like?
Yeah, is it a power grab? Or
Does anyone agree with Melissa's point that it calls into the vice president's judgment that she has been around while Biden's health has deteriorated?
100% agree. But it also seems like that's kind of how she carries herself. She kind of does what in the moment she needs to do to continue to move forward and move up.
So interesting. I love these, Elise. They really give a sense of how people are thinking in these swing states, independent voters who maybe still are making a decision. I'm curious, it almost seems like you get a sense of what the challenge will be for Vice President Kamala Harris when you hear from these voters. What are you going to be doing today? Who will you be speaking with today?
Well, we're leaving the National Railroad Museum, who hosted us last night, to talk to these great Green Bay voters. And we're heading to Madison, and we're going to talk to progressive voters under the age of 40. And then we're going to hear from traditional Democratic voters about how they feel about President Biden leaving the race and their thoughts on the new nominee, Kamala Harris.
All right, MSNBC political analyst Elise Jordan, great work. Thank you so much.